All right, today I want to talk about creating an online course. Now, this is a presentation I did for another group, and it went for about 45 minutes. Oh, why is it doing that? But today I'm just gonna whip through it very quickly. And my main point is to stop you doing death by slides whenever you're creating an online course. This is something I see a lot when I'm doing Udemy courses. I'm not sure if Skillshare is the same, but a lot of online content tends to be just slides upon slides upon slides, and that is not how you do adult education or any education. So if you're planning to do an online course, I'm going to show you today how to do it properly. So what I'm going to cover is principles of adult education, learning styles, good course design, various course platforms, and then we'll have time for questions. Now, a bit of background about me, why the hell am I talking to you about this? Is because I'm actually a trained trainer. I spent a stint training adults in the public service, and to do that, I had to do a graduate certificate in training. And I really loved designing training and delivering training. So that's why I can talk about this. So principles of adult learning, and they've got a wonderful name, which is called andragogy. That's what they're called. And these are them. Now, if you want to know more about them, you can read up on them on the internet, but they basically tell you not just how to design training and learning or any online content, but also how to market. So you need to focus on the learners need to know. Why do they need to know, what they need to know, and how they need to know it. The self-concept of the learner, that they're autonomous and self-directing, and that's going to determine how you design the content and also how you market the content. The other principle is about the prior experience of the learner. So when you're designing training, consider what they've learned before, including their mental models that they've got in their head from their life experience and work experience, how ready they are to learn. And that could be, either life-related, or the learning could be a developmental task. So for example, I've begun learning Spanish recently, and that's because I have this dream of living in Spain for a little while, eventually when my kids leave home. So, that's life-related, and it's a developmental task for me. I have a really good reason to learn this, and I don't need to be motivated because I'm already motivated myself. So nobody needed to market to me. I knew there was an app that taught languages, so I found it and I began learning. But if you're selling a course, for example, you might want to consider, where are the learners at in their readiness to learn? The orientation to learning. So is it problem-centered or is it contextual? So for example, do they have a problem to solve? And that's why they're looking for some online content. They might have come across something in their, in the work that they need solved, and then they come across your course. So again, it's about how you design, but also the marketing. And then finally, it's we need to consider the motivation to learn, and that may be just the intrinsic value of the learning. I mean, we know that there are people who just love to learn for learning's sake. I'm one of them, but other people hate it, like my children. They don't love to learn. They have to be forced to learn, but some people just will learn anything because they just love it, because they get a personal payoff from it. Okay. Then we have to consider the different types of learners, and you might have heard of this before. There are 4 different types of learning, different ways we learn. We can be either oral learners, so we learn by listening. So for example, if you do a lot of learning by listening to podcasts or audiobooks, you're an oral learner. I find for me, when I listen to anything, it goes in one ear and out the other. So for me, podcasts and audiobooks are great entertainment-wise. I love listening to them when I'm driving, but nothing sticks. So if I want to learn anything from a podcast or anything else, I need to be taking notes because I'm a kinesthetic learner, and we're going to get to that in a minute. So visual learners learn by watching. So they might watch, and they can be reached by using diagrams, videos, anything visual. So yes. Kinesthetic learners learn by doing, and I personally am one of those. So for example, to teach myself how to crochet again after years of not doing it, I had to watch a YouTube video and I had to do it as I was seeing it. So I had to learn by doing. And my theory, personal theory, is that all adults learn by doing, and in fact everybody learns by doing, because whether you learn by listening, by seeing, or anything else, reading and writing, the way it finally sticks in your brain is gonna be when you do it. So you might read about doing something, you might watch how something is being done, you might listen to it, but the way you're finally gonna learn is how to do it is by doing the thing, because then your body knows how to do it. That's my personal theory. I don't know where it fits in all this. So what does that mean? That good course design, thank you, takes into consideration how adults learn. So that's the principles of adult education, why they learn, the different types of learning styles, and learner support, something we haven't talked about yet, and the ease of access and use to the learning, and assessment. Now, assessment is something we spend a lot of time on in the actual training sector when we providing accredited training. Now, it's not something you might want to spend a lot of time on in your training, but it's something considering. When we talk about the different training platforms, you will find that a lot of them include things, assessment tools such as quizzes and question and answers. So if you want to include assessment in your course design, you can, depending on what sort of platform you use, and we'll cover some of those in a minute. So good course content explains why it's needed. So you're going to tell your learner why they need to learn the thing you're teaching them. And it relates to the learner's experiences. So for example, I have a course for bloggers, helping them to create a business out of their blog. And in that course, I will talk to them about, I will relate every bit of learning, every bit of content that I've created to their past experiences. And so if I'm talking about, say, affiliate marketing, I will relate back to some content they've written in the past and ask them, okay, what affiliate links could you have included in that? What affiliate partners could you have partnered with in that particular content? It also allows for some level of self-direction and autonomy. And that's why most online training that I've participated in does allow for that. Something I really do hate. And this happens in a lot of American-based webinars, and you might have come across that, where they advertise on Facebook for some great training, and you think, oh yes, that will be really useful. You go to register, and they only have one time slot, and the time slot is first of all, it's an American time, it's Pacific or Eastern, which are absolutely meaningless to me. And then there is no recording. It's a one-off, it is no recording. So it just doesn't allow for any self-direction or autonomy for me. So I immediately get put off those. I love webinars which, first of all, are in Australian time, and even if they're not, so they provide a recording, because that gives me autonomy on when I'm going to listen to it. The next thing is about including practical activities to apply, oh, you can see that, to apply the learning to the real world. Now, I'm going to go back to my blogging course as an example here. So when I'm doing my affiliate marketing, and I've already told you that I included practical activities. So what I'm going to tell my learners in that course is to go back to a post they've written and consider what affiliate links they could have included. So I'm going to give them a practical activity to do and apply the learning. So they have to research the various affiliate partners they might use in that particular post, and then actually rewrite the post with those affiliate links. So that's a real practical activity. Now, the next thing is providing a support forum for the learner interaction. Now, this often gets missed from those kinds of en masse training programs that you might have come across, particularly at Udemy and possibly at Skillshare. And that's basically they just put out a course which is death by slides, and there's no support for the learners from either the course leader or with each other. Now, that might be okay for some, but the best courses that I've done, and that includes accredited courses, excuse me, cat, provide some kind of forum, and often they're Facebook groups. Sometimes they're on a separate platform, but often a Facebook group is something simple because everybody has Facebook, well, almost everybody, and everyone knows how to use it, and they're going to be comfortable going there and interacting with each other, and you can answer all their questions. And finally, the good course content is continually updated. So if you've designed a course and it's sitting on your website, make sure that you're continually updating it so that all the links are correct, all the content is correct, and it doesn't go out of date. So how to design a course? First of all, choose a course topic and consider the needs of your learners. So those things like what we discussed before, the what, why, the how, make sure it's problem-centered and contextual, and define the learning outcomes for the learners. Now, a learning outcome is something that says at the end of this course, the learner will be able to ... So it's got to be a practical how, doing word phrase. So at the end of this course, the learner will be able to speak Spanish, for example. So what is the actual doing thing they're going to be able to do at the end of this course? And then you might have one major one for the course, and then you might have sub-learning outcomes, and those will become the modules for the course. And then you will brainstorm the various lesson topics for each module. So what you might want to do is just, once you've defined your topic for the course, just brainstorm all the different lessons, and then you might want to group them into modules. So whatever way works best for you, to go module down or lesson up. Create content for each lesson and make sure you include practical activities. If you are using assessment, whatever's practical within the constraints of your platform that you're using, create those. And as I said, there might be quizzes or there might be question and answer type assessments. Create a support and feedback structure for learners, and that might be as simple as a Facebook group or a forum on your platform of choice. And decide whether your course is going to be self-paced or date-specific. I find that date-specific courses tend to do better with engagement because everybody has to be there on a specific date to attend. If the course content is a presentation from the course leader, then people have to be there on the particular time and date to listen to it, or they might get a recording. But also the feedback and the support in the Facebook group, for example, is current rather than out of date. So everybody's going through the course at the same time, and you get a lot more support from each other and from the course leader. Now, what's next? Now, the next thing we could do if we had more time would be an activity, and you can choose to do this in your own time, is to pick a course topic, whatever that might be in your business, and define your learning outcomes. And this might be one major one, or you might have several. It doesn't matter. And remember, as a result of this course, learners will be able to ... What's the doing thing? And then create the course outline, which are going to end up being modules. And finally, course platforms. Now, these are just a few, and I don't have experience in all of them. This is just what I've compiled for the purposes of this presentation. There's Kajabi, there's Thinkific, yes, Udemy, which I have experience with. And it's great for cheap courses if you want to quickly upskill on a particular, for example, I did one on Google Analytics. So if you quickly want to upskill on something, sure, do that. But I mean, I find that unless I'm immediately going to be applying the learning to something, it's not going to stick in my head. So if you have a great need for a particular bit of learning, I recommend doing the learning and then applying it. You might have heard of the great courses. There's also another one called, I think, Creative Live. There's Skillshare, which I've seen around. There's Teachable. Or you can actually host it on your very own website. So for WordPress, there are learning course management plugins like LearnPress, which is free, LearnDash, which is paid, and WP Courseware. I'm not sure that it's free or paid. Or you can actually even just use a membership plugin in WordPress and just assign which membership levels to your course content. You can make it as simple as that. You don't have to complicate things. I think I've seen people really develop complex platforms and setups for their online courses, but you can really keep it really, really simple. Get in touch. Questions, anybody? That's it for me. Thank you, Nicole.
Awesome, well done.